Hello everybody, Dokkan Assets here. Today we are back with another figure news video. Ladies and gentlemen, I do want to apologize. I am definitely a little bit late on this one. Your boy has been very busy over the weekend and the past couple of days. So I apologize that I was not on top of this when all of the information was finally dropped. But this is the ICHIBAN Kuji that I talked about in a couple of figure news videos ago, where we got the information that this was going to be a Namek saga, specifically the Frieza Force ICHIBAN Kuji, and we would be getting the information sort of dribbled out a little bit of bit by bit. And obviously had to wait for the information to fully come out before we could talk about all of it. But of course, you know, it's been a little bit since that's happened, and this is all the information that we have. So let's go ahead and talk about it. The official ICHIBAN Kuji actually tweeted this out. You can see that this started on the 19th, and the newest tweet, I believe, is going to be a little bit farther along than that. So, for the ICHIBAN Kuji Dragon Ball EX series, this time Frieza's army finally attacks, titled ICHIBAN Kuji EX Fear, Frieza Army. So this is going to be the prize A, as you can see, and of course we have Frieza in his space pod here. This, of course, being a pretty iconic look from the Namek saga. Of course, Frieza travel around in the little bubble car, and the last one version is him with his finger in the air, as you can see there. Now, first of all, before we even talk about the figure sculpt itself, I have to say this is probably the laziest last one version that I think I have ever seen. Let me take a drink of water real quick while you're looking at this. Hydrate or dihydrate, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, he literally just lifts his arm. They literally just took his arm from leaning in his pod and just moved it up. Are you kidding me? On other figures, this could have been an interchangeable part where you can just have his finger up in the air. But no, for this they decided to literally have it be an entirely different figure. This is laziness to its finest. Now, obviously, putting that aside, in terms of the figure sculpt, I actually think it looks pretty good. Frieza's face maybe looks a little bit weird, but that could also just be because his big eyebrows, the piece of skin that covers the top of his head where his eyebrows would be, or the top of his face rather, is obviously very over cumbersome, right? So it kind of blocks out part of his face a little bit. But I think overall it looks pretty decently sculpted. The space pod itself looks nice. I will say it is a bit of a shame that this is not properly sculpted, but these little side pieces here, it almost kind of looks like these are tacked on afterward, right? It almost doesn't even look like this one is connected, as you can see a big gap right there, rather than have it sculpt where it would just be, you know, like a regular hump in the material. I don't know if this is because of the size of the packaging, and then maybe they can attach these later, and that's how this is going to work. But those don't really look that good because it looks like that it's, you know, not attached properly, if I'm being honest with you. But I think Frieza himself doesn't look too bad. I like the detail on his body, as well, like the parts of his skin that you can see look really good, as well as the lines and the armor and stuff. I also like the color that they chose for his head. I don't know if that's transparent or not, but I do definitely like the shiny material that they used. For me personally, I would probably want the last one version because it would be cool to pair this with a Bardock figure where he's throwing, you know, his ki at Frieza. But if you want to match this with the other figures that we have, say Zarbon, then of course you're probably going to want the regular one. So this is the prize B for this ICHIBAN Kuji, the Zarbon. I do have to say, this figure does look quite good, if I am being honest with you. I think this guy looks a lot nicer than Frieza. In my opinion, this is probably the nicest looking figure in this ICHIBAN Kuji. I'm a big fan of Z, and low-key, I might actually be interested in copying some figures from this Kuji. I don't know if they're going to be necessarily high priority for me, because there are definitely other figures that I'm trying to get in my Dragon Ball collection. I'm not buying as many figures these days as I used to, so the figures that I sort of have on the top of my list, I try and prioritize a little bit more. But This is pretty cool. If I do say so myself, I definitely like the look of this Zarbon. I think they got the details very, very nice. They got his hair very, very nice. They got his tiara, question mark. They always had what looks like a Patara earring, but I don't think is a Patara earring, chilling right there, which looks pretty cool. I definitely like the little thing that they had to hold the end of the ponytail as well. The little, I guess you would kind of call that like a hair tie, a metal hair tie, sort of. Even his armbands look really, really good. Overall, I think this figure looks very, very nice. Moving on to our prize C here, we have, of course, Dodoria, right, with the big pink man here. And it kind of looks like that his hands are articulated. Does it say anything about that? No, it doesn't look like it. It definitely looks like, wait, let's see, judging by these images, no, okay. His hands are in the same position for both. Unless that is just some awful gapping, which if that is just the way that the figure is, that is quite yucky if I do say so myself. But if the reason why that's there is because you can actually like turn his hands around, that would be pretty cool. I think his actual face looks very nicely sculpted. It basically just looks like Dodoria, right? Which is really, really cool. The Scouter looks pretty nice if I do say so myself. Something about his pants here do look a little bit weird, almost like they're scrunched up. I don't know if it's supposed to be like that or if that's like a little bit of a sculpting mishap, but definitely looks a little bit weird if I do say so myself. Also, does this feel like the Saiyan armor is not like connected as much here? Maybe I'm tripping on that. I'm not sure. But definitely, I overall like the way that this figure looks. I definitely think that Zarbon, though, definitely takes the cake. The only thing I will say about these guys is I feel like the poses are really weird. Like, this pose, right? And then I guess you would say, not that one. Sorry, I'm trying to go back to him. There we go. For Dodoria, like this one and this one would be perfect to put next to the Frieza, right? But I feel like these aren't poses that necessarily complement Frieza standing here. Like maybe Zarbon's right behind him. And then if they would have had Dodoria with his other arm, I don't know. It just feels like that they don't really complement them. Especially, you know, considering I'm assuming the whole point of this is you put Zarbon and Dodoria next to Frieza. I don't know. Just kind of interesting in the posing department. The next figure that we had up here was Kui. Funny enough, this guy was revealed on the 23rd after the next tweet they're going to take a look at, but those are kind of the minor figures in the set. Prize D, we have your boy Kui. Very, very interesting that they decided to make him. I don't know who else they would have necessarily picked from Frieza's army, considering obviously we just talked about getting a full Ginyu Force Ichiban Kuji in the past figure news videos. So I don't know, like, there's not really any other prominent characters. I mean, unless they're really going to make a blueberry or an apple figure, right? Which I don't think so. I mean, that would be kind of cool. But yeah, we got the boy Kui. I don't really, like, personally, I'm not really that attached to Kui or anything like that. He basically has, like, 2 big moments. Maybe that's pushing it even a little bit. I think overall the figure looks good. They definitely nailed his funny alien skin. I will say his face does look a little bit weird. Maybe it's something to do with, like, the tongue almost looking like it's hanging out a little bit. I feel like his mouth is just a very weird shape for how this figure should be. It definitely doesn't look too bad, but I'm not definitely the most interested in this figure myself. I will say, too, it is a little bit of a strange one that they decided to do this, and they still haven't done, like, some other Dragon Ball characters. Like, it's just an interesting choice for an Ichiban Kuji. I mean, I guess it makes sense to have it near the Ginyu Force one because they're doing a bunch of Namek stuff, but, like, why this right now? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's a little bit strange. For our Dragon Archives figures, these are the minifigures that we have here. Of course, we have your boy Grand Elder Guru. We have Thick Frieza. This one looks very, very funny. And I have to say, I definitely want to get this one. We have your boy Frog Ginyu. I almost wish that this was one of the bigger figures, because I would love if this was a full-size figure. I would absolutely adore that. But these are indeed just the Dragon Archives figures. It is always pretty cool seeing these because, you know, it's kind of weird if I'm being honest, because with the Dragon Archives figures, right, they're always these more like unique moments in the series that I feel like they normally wouldn't give to big figures. But I almost feel like they should think about it the opposite, because I would almost more rather have these more unique moments be big figures, because they're more unique things rather than the characters just kind of standing there. You know what I mean? Regardless, though, these are the Dragon Archives figures. I'm sure that Ginyu Frog is probably going to be the most popular one. Very, very cool, though. Excuse me. Sorry, I was still sleepy. That we are going to be getting a figure of this at all, honestly, because obviously this is a pretty iconic moment for Dragon Ball. But yeah, moving on, we have the ratios for the store numbers, right? Basically, this is how many figures each store will get that is going to get them, right, for the actual Ichiban Kuji in Japan. Frieza's 2, Zarbon's 1, Dodoria's 1, Kui is 1, Dragon Archives 3 Type 6, and then, of course, the acrylic stance, the art towel, and the visual boards, which are the minor prizes, are going to be 13, 28, and 28. I believe we will see those at a later date. I'll just throw those in a general, you know, figure news recap type of video. But yeah, besides that, it has been confirmed that there is no Europe Ichiban show for the Frieza Kuji. It kind of doesn't really matter overall, because these guys are so expensive at this point for the overseas prices that it is literally cheaper to import them. Funny enough, I'm actually going to be doing a video on the Ichiban Kuji Gamma 1 and 2, and I imported those guys from Japan, and I paid, I think, maybe like somewhere around like 80 or 90 for both of them, and it was still cheaper than getting them from the overseas, you know, Ichiban show version of the figures, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, so unfortunately, no Europe Ichiban show for this. We'll have to see if they announce it for the US. And these are the sizes for all of the characters. Definitely not too bad, I believe. Obviously, it's interesting that Frieza is so small. I mean, I guess that makes sense because obviously, you know, he is a pretty small boy. But like, those are pretty considerably bigger than him with the, I almost said Shinron, with Zarbon and Dodoria, you know what I mean? So kind of interesting that he's going to be that small. I'm assuming, though, he'll probably be pretty wide, right? Because obviously they have the pod to compensate for. So I'm assuming that with the advent of that, he is going to be definitely a little bit of a bigger figure. But that is going to do it for the figure news video for today. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. I most certainly had a good time looking at this new Ichiban Kuji. I know we have been looking for this for days. We got a whole new Ichiban Kuji before this one released for some reason. I don't know why, you know, they decided to do it that way, but hey, it is what it is. Let me know what you think about these guys in the comment section below. I would definitely be keen to hear what you have to say about this one. Honestly, for me, out of all of these figures, I really want the Zarbon. I think the Zarbon is looking very nice. I'll have to wait until we actually get like the final images of the figures to decide if I want to cop these. But the thing is, I feel like if I get Zarbon, I feel like I have to get Frieza in the pot and Dodoria to match. Maybe that's just my ape monkey collector brain. But let me know what you think in the comment section below, and other than that, I will catch you in the next one. Dokkan Assets out. Peace.